Your wife.
All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Copyleft Games Weekly Meetup 7. Today, we're going to have 6 presenters. We'll have one interview, one how to, two dependencies, and two game progresses. For those of our viewers who don't know what Copyleft Games is, we're a non-profit organization that promote entertainment software which are licensed under copyleft licenses, such as the GNU GPL. And we've tied up with Google Codin. And today, our students are going to be giving various presentations on different aspects of how our organization works. Firstly, um, I say we have the interview by VM7 since he has a shortage of time and has to leave early. So VM7, if you could begin right now.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
thanks.
So I'll be interviewing Harsh. He makes games. So my first question to him is, what are the stages of developing a game?
Yes, I would like to speak about discipline as it is the one of the most important things. Discipline is the key to making a game by yourself as most of the people seem to give up on their way as when people interested in programming get into the designing stuff, they get bored soon, and people interested in designing give up when programming comes. And as making a game is a long term process of the people give up on so people give up on the way. So that's why I think discipline is the key factor. Even Will Wright, a developer from EA, that I have some games said that I have some games in progress but never completed them because of the lack of discipline.
Yes, thank you. And I would also like to say that Harsh also have some games on Play Store with about 5 to 7,000 downloads.
It's a game named Color Man.
Okay. So my next question is, what do you personally prefer, working for a company or becoming an indie developer as a career choice?
Working for a company because it seems better as you can only do programming or designing. Most people hate doing both. So if you're interested in programming, you don't have to do the designing stuff. But working alone also has some plus. If you make a good game and most of it goes directly into your pocket, and you're free to do work and freely you can freely edit whatever you want. But working for a company I prefer is more secure.
Okay. So thanks for that. And my next question to you is, do you ever feel like making your own game engine?
Yeah, I do, but that's a lot of hectic stuff to make your own game engine, as it requires a lot more effort to make a game engine than it looks like. And I think you until you reach a professional level, it is impossible to make a game engine.
Okay. So I know that you haven't took part in any of the previous GCIs, and
Yeah.
because of the age factor. But what do you think of it?
Google Coden is I know that Google Coden is an open source competition hosted for university, not university, but school standard students. I did not participate in it, but because I didn't, heard about it anywhere, I would have. But yep, uh, that's it.
What do you think of it?
I think it's a great way to promote open source development among kids. You know, open source development is like a plus one. Like open source softwares like open office and open office package uh, provided by Oracle. Oh shit, wait. Is a open source is an open source package. Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
Hello. I think he must have muted his mic because he was saying something.
All right. So should we wait for a bit or come back to you later?
Just wait for a second or two.
All right. Sure. Not an issue.
Hey, sorry,
There.
it was my it was my internet. Sorry. Shall I speak? Shall I continue?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. So, open source
You can
development
continue
is,
from where you left.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Open source development is basically working for a company. It teaches you, if you actually achieve that level that you are able to work for a company, it teaches you the basics, and it's like a staircase to your career. Open source development.
Okay. So, thank you. So, does anybody else have questions?
We'll be taking questions now. If anyone has questions, please feel free to raise your hand. All right. So, Harsh, I have a question for you.
Yeah,
You told us about how you've developed this game, which is on the Play Store right now and has about 7,000 downloads.
yeah,
So, whilst you prepared that game,
yeah.
what game engine did you use and how was your experience and how much time did you put in?
I used Unity to develop that game, and it took like 2 or 3 months at least.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions? All right. Seeing none, we will proceed. I request
Maybe.
you to mute your mics. Thanks for your interview.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Next up, I believe we'll have a dependency by Mugiwala, who is presenting Valac, which is a dependency of PySoy. So, Mugiwala.
Hi, so welcome. Wait one second. Let me share this. Yeah, can you see this? Can you see
Yeah,
the
yeah, we
entire
can see your
screen?
screen.
Okay, just give me a second. Let me just share the slides. Yeah. Um, one second. I'm having some internet problems, so give me like 10 seconds. I'll be up. Yeah. Okay. So can everybody hear me and see my screen?
Yes, we can do both.
Yeah.
Proceed.
So I'm Nijiwala, and today I will be presenting a dependency. Okay. So today the dependency I'll be presenting is Valac. So now if you go into the libsoy folder, I mean sorry, the PySource the PySource folder, and you read the if you go here, you will see you will also need a working C compiler environment for building Python modules. So this is exactly what Valac achieves.
Mugiwala, I'm extremely sorry to interrupt, but we can't see your
Yeah.
screen. All we can see is the presentation.
I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll just reshare my screen. One second.
Sure.
I think. Wait, entire screen. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you go into the installation of PySor, you'll see the dependencies folder here, right? And you will see one sentence. You will also need a working C compiler environment for building Python modules. So this is what Valak achieves. So today I'll be presenting Valak, if it wasn't already said. So now what is Valak? So Valak is the Valak compiler is a self-hosting compiler that translates Vala source code into C source and header files. It also uses the G-object type system to create classes and interfaces declared in the Vala source code. So now the Vala supports modern languages features, as you can see here. So now what is Vala essentially? Like, this is just giving you an overview. So Vala is essentially designed to allow access to existing C libraries, especially G-object based libraries, without the need for runtime bindings. This is needed to use a library with Vala is an API file containing the class and method declarations in Vala syntax. Vala currently comes with the bindings for glib and GTK plus and many others from the GNOME platform. The GNOME helped develop Vala. Using classes and methods written in Vala from an application it's not difficult when it's written in C. The Vala library only has to install the generated header files and the C applications, which may then access the GObject-based API of the Vala library as usual. It should also be possible to write bindings generator for access to Vala libraries from applications written in C Sharp, as the Vala parser is written as a library. So all compile time information is available when generating a binding. So now we know what is Vala, but why Vala? Why is it important in PySor? So many developers want to write GNOME applications and libraries in high-level programming languages, but can't do or don't want to use C Sharp or Java for various reasons. So they're stuck with C without syntax support for the GObject type system. The Vala compiler allows developers to write complex object-oriented code rapidly while maintaining a standard C, API, and ABI, keeping the memory requirements low. C Sharp and Java libraries can't be used the same way as native Go objects, libraries from C and other languages, and can't be accepted as part of the GNOME platform. Managed applications also suffer from usually high memory requirements, which is not acceptable in some situations. Vala produces C source and header files from the Vala source files, as you've already seen written in your library or application directly in C. Using a Vala library, using a Vala library from a C application won't look different than using any other GObject-based library. There won't be a Vala runtime library, and applications can distribute the generated C code with the tarballs, so there are no additional run or build time dependencies for users. So I hope that explained why Vala is such an important part of PySoy, and I would like to say thank you for your time.
Does anyone have any questions? All right, seeing none, I believe we can proceed. Next up, we have another dependency by Pram Nayar. So, Pram, if you could.
Yeah, I'll just
All
begin.
right, sure.
Let me
Go
just
ahead.
share my screen. Um, yeah, can you see it?
No.
Yeah, can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so hi guys. Today I'll also be presenting a dependency, and the dependency I'm presenting today is called WAF or WAF. And I came across this on the requirements page of PySoy, and that's why I decided let me present this. So let me just begin. And first of all, what is WAF? WAF is a Python-based framework for configuring, compiling, and installing applications. And if you look at some of the important or basic features of WAF, it has an automatic build order, it has automatic dependencies, it has extensibility, and it has an IDE support, which includes many IDEs such as Eclipse, Visual Code Studio, etc. And it has high Python compatibility, and it is essentially a build system, and I put down the definition of build system here: a piece of software that helps automating process in a software project aimed at processing a particular source code. Okay, so that's just a short overview of what is WAF. And now if we go on to build systems, like I just started over here, so like there are various build systems, and they're usually bound to the specific frameworks that they belong to. For example, if you look at Visual Studio projects, will often require MS build, and an Angular JS project will require something as npm. And these solutions are usually focused on very specific features and very limited when it comes to processing other languages. So since programming languages and solutions evolve constantly, creating the ideal build system for everything together is not really possible. But put together these three common subset of problems that all build systems more or less try to address, irrespective of which language they run in. And these are, for example, run compilers and scripts as distinct processes, run processes only when necessary by recording what has changed, running processes in parallel for efficiency reasons. And WAF fulfills all of these features, and it also provides, and it also has some advantages, you can say, over other frameworks. And these are the advantages listed down over here. One, it requires only Python, and there is no dependency or any other additional software. And second, it does not need any new language. It's completely can be written in Python modules, so it's extremely convenient and easy to use, and it does not rely on any code generator. And finally, WAF targets are defined as objects which separate the concerns from running commands. And so yeah, that's the basics of what I wanted to talk about. And yeah, that's the basics of what I want to talk about. And so this is basically what WAF is. And now when I looked at when I looked at how WAF is used in PySoy. So basically what WAF is used in PySoy is it's used to build the libsoy, which is used for running PySoy, and it is self-contained in the source tree, and it depends only on Python when you're running it. And also when you are running it, there are certain steps you need to certain steps you need to follow when installing PySoy. And after that, when you do the configure step of WAF, it will check and ensure that all the other dependencies are met and report any that are missing. So this is how WAF is used in PySoy. So yeah, that was all I had for my presentation. And yeah, does anybody have any questions or anything?
I do.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, does WAF contain all the tools that we use, or would you like to cover the Genie.py?
Can you please repeat your question?
WAF is written in Python.
Yeah.
And it doesn't include, I know this, all the tools that we needed out of the box. So did you look at Genie.py?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really looked at it properly yet, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you saying it doesn't have all the tools, but I was just presenting this, and Genie.py is, I mean, I looked at it again, it's another dependency which is required for running PySoy. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much information on the website to say.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So when I was working with WAF on certain projects, I realized that it wasn't compatible with Python 3.6, many features of Python 3.6, and I had to downgrade to Python 2.7. So why are we still using an old library such as WAF, which is not compatible with newer versions of Python itself?
Actually, when I looked at the WAF IO book, there's a website which has some basic information. It says that it is supposed to be compatible, which is why I actually went ahead with this thing. So I mean, I don't know why it isn't. I will look into that, but I can send the link to you later on the chat. I mean, it says that it is compatible with Python, all the recent versions of Python. which is one of its main, I would say, advantage. It says so. I can put the link over to you. I don't know why it's not working out, but I'll put the link over to you on the chat after the call, and you can look at that
All right,
because
sir.
it
I
says
mean,
that.
the problem
Yeah.
that I faced were errors with certain tasks. I mean, it worked with most of Python 3.6,
Mhm.
but there were certain tasks. So I get what you're getting
Yeah, I
at.
mean,
Yeah, thanks.
maybe it's a local error. I don't know. Maybe I mean, it's also when I was researching, I haven't really used it a lot yet. But when I was researching and just reading up on it, it said that one of its main key points advantages is this. So
It may also be we're using an outdated version of it. WAF is a binary file, so it doesn't really do version control really well with either Git or Mercurial. So we tend to update it every few years rather than whatever the newest version happens to be, just to avoid the source code repository from getting too big. So when there's a problem, that's when we usually update it.
All right, thanks. Is that it? Do we have any other questions? All right, seeing none, I believe we can proceed. Next up, we'll have a how-to by Gummy.
Okay, I'll be doing a. Oh
ahead.
shoot, that is the wrong thing.
Take your time, it's okay.
Sorry about that. It's my first time here. Can you see my screen, or am I still not sharing my screen?
We can see your screen. We can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So I'll be doing a basic how-to on how to have your camera be able to move freely. Here I'll show you the final product. So you should be able to control your camera using WASD. And here's how we're going to do it. So first of all, you're going to have to create your basic room and camera using the basic codes. And then you'll have to add some lights in the room so you can actually see the room. And then we're going to get into the basic core components of the of moving your camera, of using key press and motion. So first, we're going to set some force values. This is going to be used later on in the process. This is done so that you can control the speed of how fast you're going to be going when you press the buttons. So for example, for my left force, I have -50 on the x-axis, which will allow me to move left. And then later on, we'll apply these onto the camera by using the thrust action in PySoy. This will allow me to add the force that we have assigned before onto the camera, which will allow it to move. And afterward, this is where the key press comes in. And we're going to be using an event of key press and key release. Both of these needs to be added so that when we press the button, for example, D for to go right, but once you press it, it will just apply the thrust onto the camera, which will go infinitely right. So when we release the key, we need to add the opposite force of left, so the camera will stop when we release the key. And if you have applied all of this onto all of the keys, then you should be able to have a camera that is able to move forward and backwards, left and right. Alternately, you can also add up and down using shift and space with a upward force and a downward force. But I didn't do that here. And for the final product, it should be able to move forward, backwards, left and right within your room. And that is my how-to. Is there any questions?
What happens when you move up and right at the same time? Because I know that when you should know by now too, when you add rotational force and then try to correct it, if it's not done in the correct order, you're going to get a drift, right? If you move up and then start moving right, and you try to do the opposite up, you're not going to get the stop action.
Okay, yeah, I see. Sorry about this, but I'm quite new to Google Coding and I haven't really played around with that. What I can do is figure out after this event and I will add, I will send the result and try to find a solution to that later on, and I'll send the solution in the chat. But currently, right now, I do not know what that does.
All right. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we can proceed. Next up, we have two
Okay,
game
thank you.
progresses left, one by Sidsab and one by Yumozi. So I guess Sidsab, you go first, since Yumozi is requested to be last.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, one second. I'm gonna share my screen.
Gummy, you can stop sharing your screen.
Sorry, I have no clue how to stop sharing my screen.
On the bottom left on Jitsi, just click the screen button again, or you can stop
Okay,
sharing it.
got you. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, thank you.
All right, so I'm doing the game progress on the last game, so I'm hoping to submit it tonight. But this is what I have right now. Can you see everything?
We can.
Okay. Right. All right, so this is the game progress. As you can see, it has all the features. I'm gonna look through the examples a little more to implement some new features before I submit it today. But this is just a simple game progress. This is something I'm working on the side with instead of Vol Authority, but this is basically. So as you can see, last time I showed y'all how I could add stuff to it with the textures, but sorry, this is not the screen I normally run it on, but as you can see, here's the code walkthrough. We're just adding different bodies at this point, so it looks more like a proper game. And it's a lot of fun, so hopefully I'll submit it tonight, and that's basically all I have for my game progress. Thank you.
All right.
What is your game? What's the end goal with it?
I want it to look like Pac-Man.
Is it gonna gobble up
Yeah,
dots?
yeah. Let's see. Hopefully I'll be done by tonight. Just haven't had time this week. Golf 40.
That sounds interesting.
All right. So any other questions? Seeing none, we move on to our last presentation of the day. We have the game progress by Yumozi, who is working on avoid cubes, which seemed pretty interesting. So Yumozi, if you're on, you can proceed right now. Yumozi?
Hi, all right.
Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen.
Sure.
Screen. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so can you all see my screen now?
Unfortunately, we can't. It shows that you're having connectivity issues. Can you go to some place with a stronger internet connection?
I should have strong enough internet. Let me see.
Can the others see his screen?
Yeah, can people?
No, just see connectivity issue.
No, I can't see anything.
All right.
Well, let me. We join the meeting and I'll try it again.
All right. Till then, Sidsab, I was hoping you could play your game for us and show us what you've done so far. The game, not the code.
Okay, I will join the meeting. Let's see. Okay. Can we see my screen now, or?
I think Yumozi's come.
He has, but we still can't see his screen. We'll wait up for a bit.
I'm sharing my screen now. Can you guys see it now or no?
We can't. Can the others?
Okay. So if there's a little spare time, I would like to like show some sort of demo. If that's okay with everyone.
We'll just wait up for a bit. If Umozi's computer does not respond, we'll.
I can't use my other
Can I
computer.
just show some sort of demo till then?
Yeah,
If
sure.
that's okay with everyone.
I believe so. Umozi, till then, if you could figure out a way around this. Mugiwala, go ahead.
So I was working on the GCI side, on the GCI toolset, right? And we were supposed to design something. So I feel that most of us work very late in the night. For example, right now it's 2:16, and when we work so late with a very white background, our eyes get spoiled. So I was thinking of implementing a dark mode. So I created something that all of you can try out right now.
Mugiwala,
So
we can't see your screen either. You're having connectivity issues too.
wait,
Although we can hear you what you're saying.
have I shared my screen?
Try sharing your screen. We'll let you know if it's visible.
Now can you see it?
We can't.
No,
Nope.
no.
hmm
No? Are you sure? Are you on my thing? Because like I'm sharing my screen right now. Like I think
All
right
it
now
all
the
it displays is that you're having connectivity issues. So
me.
yes, if you could.
That's what's showing on YouTube too. There's just says having connectivity issues.
Alright, that's good. I just changed my Wi-Fi connection.
Ark, so how do you suggest we go around this? Because both of them are facing connectivity issues.
I have no idea, honestly. This is a problem we haven't really had like this before, with so many students having trouble connecting. Is there a bandwidth problem on your side?
There isn't. I mean, I can view everyone else, but it's these two that are specifically lagging. So
Yeah. Two that are trying to stream. Are you having other things running in the background, like a, I don't know what, is someone streaming on the internet or downloading Netflix or something?
I'm not. The others. Mugiwala, Yumozi, try sharing your screen again. Let's see if it works.
Sorry, is it possible I can try to answer a question that was asked to me before that I was unable to answer?
Well, we're not doing anything else.
Okay, cool. For my game tutorial for moving around, Arik proposed the question of if I do up and right and let go, there will be a upward drift or upward thrust still if I will let go. But I just implemented it, and currently, if I do all the actions at once combined, there would it would just go in the right direction that I would think it would go in. So
If you also undo the actions in the same order you added them.
So do you mean like if I go forward and then I hold W and then S and then up and undo them in the same order, would I stop?
Yeah, so if you go up and then you tell turn right, that's a different translation than right than up, right? Like my fingers showing on the screen. Yeah, if going up and right is going to result in a different action than right than up.
Up, right would be in, and then right. Do you mean if I hold right and up at the same time, it will be different than when I do them separately?
Yes, depending on the
Okay.
order. If you add one axis than another, it's going to be a different outcome than in the reverse order.
So since you have a different amount of force, the vector addition gets messed up. So if you do an up and a right,
I see.
or
I see.
a right and an up, you'll have different outcomes, is what Ark is saying.
Okay, I see.
But
So
you
I
do
think-
have
yeah.
the rotation. You absolutely have access to the rotation axis. So that's a problem. You can always directly access that and do
Okay.
vector
Pretty
map,
cool.
rotational map on your own.
Okay, I got it. Thank you so much.
I was just responding to the adding or removing of forces rather than working with the axis
Oh.
directly.
Okay, I see.
All right, Yumozi, I think you shared your screen in between and it was visible, so I guess you can go ahead. Give it one last shot. Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we
give
can
me a
see your
second because
screen.
I'm transferring my
We
files
can see
from
Mugiwala's screen right now.
previous computer. Okay,
If I had some
then can I probably
connection,
go first.
that's nice. Okay, Yumos, you want to go first, or can I show my
I
demo?
can go first.
All right. So I was working on my GSI toolset task, and I implemented something quick so that all of you can try it out. If that's so. Everyone has to do is just go into the console and type in this one script once. I'll post this on the GSI chat. So when you run this, you will see a new button pop out next to the user info. So that's a pretty cool feature. I think you really enjoy it. So if I go ahead and click it, you will get a dark mode with implemented on all the chats and everything. But right now it is loading from my GitHub page, so you might see that the fonts and some icons are gone. So if I just reload the original file where it's loading from the media.copyleftgames.site.css, and I replace the CSS file with my dark CSS. You can see that all the fonts and everything remains same. You will see that all the fonts and the icons have returned. So all of you can test this out. I will link the command in the GSI chat, and you will see that the fonts go back. If I when I come to the dark mode, the fonts go, and if I come back to the original page, all the fonts and the icons come back. But this is because this is loading from the server, and that's why I don't have all the fonts and everything downloaded from the GitHub page. That's why it's not showing. So I just want to show you guys and give you an idea of what I'm trying to do.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for this? All right, Yumozi, I believe you can try sharing your screen again.
All right. Okay.
We can see your screen.
I see. Okay, good, great. Okay, so for the past week, I've been working on changing the structure of my game. So before my game looked like this. Moment. Oh, oops. Crap. Static Python. Okay, so my game was like this. Right. So there's a main function down here, and then there are functions here. That's basically running a game basically, and then all the game and the entire game is in one function. And then, but like, there's a problem with this type of structure is that it's very it's already too complex. You see over here, I had two global variables, and then so I had to use global, and I have to column inside each function that I use them, and like global here as well. And then like the entire logic of a program is just very confusing. And then when I was trying to work on a title screen task, I realized that like it's almost impossible because of all the confusing logic already in my in my game itself. So I decided to reprogram the game and then make it more like more like OP-ish, so it's more logical here. So that is the current game I have. So you see the entire game is in one class, and the class have functions like load scene, load player, load camera, and then finally there's a start. Oh, I forgot to put start, but yeah, and there's a start. So and then there's a main which only creates the game as the main game objects, and then it will run init, which will load everything, and then it will run starts, which basically starts the game and does a loop. This way, like I can see that everything, I can see the logic of things that are happening. I can see how like I can see the scene getting loaded first. I can see a player getting loaded. I can see a camera getting loaded, and then in my previous version, it's all like mixed up. Like you see over here, I had room, and then I had the game objects, and then I had textures there, players here, controls here. It's just very confusing. So I just that's all I have today. Basically, I reprogrammed the entire structure, and then also I changed the game a bit as well. So I added gravity to the game, so it's less like flying cubes. Here, I'll just do a quick demo. But it's gonna be very laggy though. So yeah, so currently I have gravity and it's a bit laggy, so it's bouncing a lot, but it's would normally only bounce for like a few seconds. I mean, like a second and it will stop. But since my VirtualBox is pretty laggy, so it's showing like this, and then you can move around and stuff. Yeah, that's all I have for today. Any questions?
Does anyone have questions?
So this is not just for you, but for all of the students who've been doing the game development stuff. Question as to what do you think about the input? I've never liked it. What we have right now is definitely temporary. What kind of experience do you have working with the input, and what are your ideas for a better API? I mean, for a camera, say we have move controller like this. So you have a camera looking at it. We shouldn't really, game codes should really not be dealing with camera input. And but the camera and between the Bluetooth and the accelerometers, gyros, etc., inside the device, should be able to see where in the environment this is moved and what angle it is. So say this was a camera. I was controlling a camera in the game, and we're getting an axis out of it. How would it make it easier for you, game code wise, to have that API look?
You mean to have the camera's control be able, like? What do you mean by the?
All right. So
by the cam.
So right now you're doing the absolute hardest thing possible, perhaps. Anything short of like dealing with the raw input from the keyboard itself, like electrical signal wise, and dealing with the clock.
Yeah. Oh right, yes.
You have to have code that detects when a key is put down, key is brought up, and doing the appropriate thing
Yes.
on those actions, which is obviously in all of your code examples is about 50% of the total game. It
Yeah.
is ridiculously cumbersome and finicky, and it's very easy to do wrong in ways that you don't necessarily think even when you start, like the translation problem.
Mhm.
I mean, this is an engine that's really designed for kids, like younger than you. So, say you had this. You had a PlayStation Move controller, and this were controlling the camera. And out of this, we're getting position and rotational information. The same way that you have a body has position rotation. In the code, what would be the easiest way you can think of? This is what I'm brainstorming rather than a question, but what would make it easiest code design wise, game design wise, to connect those?
You mean to connect the camera and the
Yeah.
player?
Connect game input to like the camera or an object.
Oh, I see. I actually think the current API is not too bad, but like there's one problem with it is that it's too inflexible. Like currently, all the key press are being bounded to add action function,
Mhm.
which can only add a in-game action, like a action like thrust, rotate, and stuff like that. So, I suggest like if we can like unbind key press, like can we just make key press like a function that detects if there's key press or not and returns boolean? So the coder himself can like actually implement all the function that he need to do other stuff, because like if I have that flexibility to do like to just take the boolean for key press, and so I can probably create functions for like doing a camera and all that. But the problem is I can't. It's been binded to a single method, so I can't really use it.
Yeah. You also, every game would then have to have some form of remapping. So I use a Dvorak keyboard. I don't have ASDF.
Oh no.
Right? My home row says AOEUI. So every game should have a way that I can remap or have a way of automatically detecting that and automatically remapping. Or even better, I as a user have global settings that say I'm using, for my keyboard input, I'm using AOE and I think it's comma or up. So, and there's like
That's well.
many people in France use an even different keyboard.
Yeah, I know that's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I was earlier working on a laptop from the United Arab Emirates, so it had an Arabic keyboard. So I couldn't get it to work with my controls all together. So I was thinking of a way out of this, and I really don't know. I think all of us need to do a little brainstorming here and probably get
Mhm.
back. I mentioned a few more problems in my pain points when I submitted my task. And frankly speaking, I really think we need to address this right now. And I tried working on mouse pointer integration. That didn't happen either. The game got really laggy and crashed altogether. My virtual machine crashed. So there are various specs of improvement. I guess we can all work on that together.
Mhm.
Are any of you currently seniors and planning to attend college in the fall?
Yes, I believe all of us are seniors. We're in 11th and 12th. Pretty much all of us.
Google has another program called Summer Code.
I'm in 10th.
Right.
To be a student in Summer Code, you just have to be enrolled. So, and 18. So, if you're turning 18 in the next few months, you may be able to qualify for Google Summer Code. And I believe we are applying this year as a mentoring organization. So, if you want to apply to work on a larger project, such as fixing our input or adding input, because what we have right now isn't really anything. that could be something you do as a full summer project over 8 weeks.
Yeah, we could do that. I had a look at some of our previous Summer of Code projects. We had a side scroller, and I think we were developing an IDE, and I really did find that pretty useful. So I guess I'll contribute once I turn 18.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I'll be going to college the year. I'm a junior right now in high school. I can't do GCI again this next year because I'll be 18 by then. But after this next year, if you guys are applying the year after, I'll definitely be doing that.
Yeah,
I'll be doing that.
I think that goes for all of us. We really find this organization.
Yeah, I
really
mean, the very
interesting.
fact that we're participating in Google Code means we're interested.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
One of the things that this is almost universal. Every Summer of Code organization, when they evaluate, so the structure of it is very different from Google Code. You write an application. The organization put out ideas of what they're kind of looking for, and you can definitely talk to mentors and kind of flesh out your idea before you write the application. But you write the application. It is your project. It can be based off ideas or something completely different, and a lot of times we call them blue sky proposals, but those blue skies are actually some of the best. But you're essentially writing a grant application for yourself. So, but whenever every organization evaluates them, students who have worked with the project before are viewed much higher than students that they are just meeting for the first time. And that's not really unexpected, because when we're evaluating for Summer Code students, we're looking for students who are going to be able to do the project and succeed. A student that has worked with the organization before is a known quantity, where a student who's come in and written like one patch, we don't necessarily know that the student is going to follow through. So I encourage, even if you can't apply for Summer Code this year, you can always, and not just for us, but there's many organizations in Summer of Code. Blender Foundation, we've worked closely with in the past. I used to be the org administrator for Python Software Foundation, and they are one of the largest. And we have worked under them too in the past. There's other Python-based organizations. There's XMPP Standards Foundation, usually is a mentoring organization. So all the things that you've been working on here over the last 7 weeks, not necessarily even applying for Copyleft Games, but all the other organizations, ones that don't participate in Google Code, the 400 something organizations. You can look at those and plan ahead a year and say, you know what, I'm going to work with this organization over the next year, and when I'm in college, I'm going to apply to be a student.
Will this, is there a chance you'll be applying as a mentoring organization in Summer of Code in like 2023 or 2022?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Is there a chance you'll be applying as a mentoring organization in like 2023, or is this just like a one-time thing and you'll be working as another organization? Like you mentioned, you're working closely with other organizations?
We have generally been a mentoring organization, not every year. And obviously I can't say 3 years in advance whether you're going to be applying. If we have students that want to participate as a student under our umbrella, under our organization, we generally do apply.
So even if Copyleft Games is not exactly applying as a mentoring organization, you said that you work with other organizations. So no matter which organization you're under, you will be part of it, right?
So we have participated both under the XMPP Standards Foundation and under the Python Software Foundation. Generally Python. So if even if we apply, that's not a guarantee we're going to get in. Not every organization that applies gets approved by Google to be a mentoring organization. But whether or not we apply, whether or not we're accepted, students can always apply to work with us through Python Software Foundation, whether we're officially in or not.
If if that's the case, like before, since this is our last meeting, I would really like to thank you for becoming a mentoring organization this year. Like, surely it wouldn't have been very easy keeping up with all the different tasks and approving them and giving criticism.
Yeah, I strongly
So
agree with
thank
that. I
Absolutely.
mean, we've all worked with
Yeah.
Linux before, but getting into this level of depth for game development, considering there were a lack of. So, another thing that I found quite interesting was the lack of documentation actually helped me to explore more.
you.
Oh
So,
my god.
I actually ended up
I share that
All information about
experience.
finding
communication.
functions on my own, and that was amazing. So, again, sometimes it's useful too.
I think we should also get PySoy to work on Mac. 'Cause, like that would really help a huge bunch of
That was one
users.
of my main pain points when I started working on this not so
Exactly.
long ago.
Also, can we rename all the sample codes so it's easier to find the thing you're going to use?
Yeah, we did have a documentation site previously. It was docs.pysoy, and it was developed by a 2 or 3 Google Coding students, and it was taken offline because it stopped working, and I haven't had time to fix it.
Oh, that's the worst feeling ever.
Oh, that's
Ugh.
Like
unfortunate.
where it just
Guys, I
directly
honestly
stops working out of the blue.
feel that once we're done with Google Code and all of us, since our interests are aligned, we can sit together and fix certain parts that we as beginners found difficult.
We should do it over the summer because, like, I feel
that's
like
a good
everyone will
idea.
be really free.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
right now, my exams are going on, and it's really hard to like balance both.
Mhm.
So
precisely.
I think we should do it in the
exams.
summer.
Yeah.
The Google Summer of Code, we also have a problem with Australia that's been going on for over 15 years now. We're going our 16th year of Google Summer of Code, and
That's
every
lovely.
single year, students in New Zealand and Australia complain because they're having their exams in the middle of, Northern Hemisphere summer. So it's
That's
Yeah,
quite
it's
unfortunate.
the same for us
in
also.
India right now,
That's really sad.
it's 3
Yeah.
a.m. right
Like,
now. We're all
yeah, it's 3 a.m.
our exams
Oh
are
my
going on,
god.
so it's
Like,
very tough.
staying up and like I've got an exam
the own-
in 12 hours. I'm gonna study like 300 pages after this, like stay up all night and just finish studying
Have
after
an
this.
exam in 4 hours.
Yeah.
I have like
That's
Actually, I
the
was
only
planning
way.
to do the game development task, but then I had like 3 exams going on, so like I wasn't able to actually get any work done, which is why I didn't submit that task. I did begin a little bit, but yeah, I got like 3 like exams every day, so like I haven't really gotten much work done.
I mean, like even without the exams, like even the just the time zone difference is like a 12 hours difference. So like the only way we're able to like clarify doubts is like during like the midnight, and it's like really hectic. So and the worst part is like even when we stay up the whole night, there's no guarantee you're exactly gonna come, right? Like you're obviously very busy, like
I'm on Google time
and like
too.
yeah.
Pacific
So, like,
US is about 12 hours.
it's a really hard thing managing it. So like I've decided like I'm just gonna work on Google Code throughout the night, and like I'll sleep throughout the morning because like that's the only way we can get work done. But then just
Yeah.
when we can
That's
get
exactly
just
what all of us are doing.
just when we finally set our sleep schedule to work in the night, that time our school comes and says, let's do preparatory exams.
Yeah, we do that.
Thank
It's
you,
a headache.
thank you all for participating in the program this year. And we still have a few more days of the program left. We always suggest pick the hardest thing you can think of for your very last task. Something that's going to take a bit, if you have the time. If you have the time to do it, because I believe there's a 2 or 3 day window at the very end. You can't accept new tests. Make sure something you can actually do.
It's 21st.
You can't drop the task and pick up a different one.
Yeah, 21st.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're gonna upload. I'm gonna upload in about 2 hours here the 3rd game development task.
Oh, okay.
And that's really intended
Oh,
for
third
the
one.
blue sky at the end.
Ark,
Oh.
frankly speaking, I mean, there isn't much time left, right? So today is the 19th in our time zone, and we can't pick up more tasks after the 21st.
Yep.
So, say this task gets approved right now or by tomorrow.
Yep.
I mean, we can't pick up many tasks right now. So, if there's a task I already have in mind, so I'm working on the toolkit. So,
Yep.
if I do take
Okay.
it up right now, it's going
I'm going to be
done.
approving you all immediately.
Alright.
So
Okay.
I'm not going to wait till tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Great.
Alright.
And like one more thing, to the toolkit task, it's written in the code description that you can tie up the chat and the editor. Like, what sort of um, um, how can we in what way can we link it? Because like I was going to the JS files and it's there's an editor.js and there's a candy.js, which is the chat, right?
Mhm.
And like the paste bin essentially links both, but I couldn't really think of another way to link them. So
Almost everything on that website, on the GCI.Copyleft Games website, was developed by previous year Google Code students.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're looking for a rhyme or reason, which is lost to the last 8-9 years of Google Code. Students who are now not just graduate from high school, but graduate from college and working in the industry. So trying to figure out why and when.
Difficult task.
It is something that we want to redesign because it's gotten out of hand. A lot of things that we planned early on just never got implemented. So
the toolkit essentially refers to the whole website, right? Okay.
Ark, I mean, so the toolkit task is such a substantive one that I can make lots and lots of changes to it. All right. And for that kind of a task, I'm going to need more than 5 to 10 days. If I intend to change all of it altogether. So I may not be able to complete all of it within the time frame, but I'd love to work on it afterwards too. So I'll do as much as I can and submit it right now. But
yeah, I mean the toolkit task is kind of a dream what it could be, is rather than actually build it. So you don't have to make the code work. We're just kind of looking at mock-ups at this point.
So if I submit just a design without the working chat room, will that be accepted? What are you looking at? You just want designs and mockups?
Yeah.
HTML, CSS. If you want to put together a style sheet, that's great. If you can't figure out the XLT, then just write HTML.
All right.
Just one question.
So I could make
are
an
we
entirely. Go ahead.
Are we allowed to make like a skeleton of what we envision to be like the new GCI website?
Yes.
And like right now, I have made a new style sheet and a function for like toggling the themes between dark and the original file. But like with that, can I also submit some sort of skeleton to what I feel could make the whole thing much better?
Yeah, that's a dreaming task. We're not looking for working code. Yeah.
Hey, Ark, I had a question about the task for these last couple of days. So after this task, I was planning on submitting my game.
Yep. Yeah. Do it. If you want it, there'd be, as I said, there's the game design task is 3 parts. And the last third part was always intended to be published at the end of the final meeting.
Oh.
Oh.
All right.
So if you want to submit your task for the second one, I can get it reviewed tonight. But I'm going to be publishing the third part tonight as well.
All right.
Okay.
So for the toolkit task that we mentioned, can I make an entirely new mockup, not based on what I've cloned, but
Yes.
an entirely? Oh, all right. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few. I mean, as far as technology goes, the technology we have is basically what we're going to be sticking with. But we're not looking for you to implement the technology. I mean, Candy we're not going to be keeping with. Candy is dead. Candy was dead when we picked it up.
Oh,
It has been really fun fixing the bugs and enhancing it, but the entire basis behind it is just so old that it's not really worth continuing with.
That's
The new one that we working on was based on our own internal XMPP library that will be cross compiled for the web.
okay.
So basically, the whole like JavaScript stack that builds Candy is just not going to be used anymore. But that doesn't mean that the features won't be used. That just means that we're going to maybe rewrite the features a little bit to have them written in Rust instead of in JavaScript.
All right.
so the style sheet. So the style sheets we like if we like change the style sheets to the existing website. So will that essentially be obsolete? Like will it be
Candy?
rendered obsolete?
Well, I mean,
No. Like we changed the style sheets to work with the online website rather than just an offline version. Like when we clone it, all the JS files do not get compiled, right? So I was essentially working with the online version to see how each style sheet would render with all the different elements and classes, and that's how I basically made my new style sheet.
Yeah.
So will those online style sheets be accepted, or do you want like a completely new skeleton?
up to you.
Can we submit both?
Hmm?
We submit a
Yeah.
skeleton and an online style sheet.
Yeah, you can do that.
All right.
I mean, a dreaming task is hard to fail. I mean, we could say like, well, let's see a little more from you, right? That this doesn't feel like you put in a lot of time yet, so I'm gonna click needs more work. But that one, again, the dreaming tasks, we don't really dictate because we're not using that. I mean, the code that you write, the exact HTML is not necessarily going to get into the final product. Those are more of the mock-ups that we're going to look at and maybe discuss as an open group, like what are we going to have for next year. Honestly, I think next year we're going to have a fully compiled website rather than the current piecemeal pieces of JavaScript everywhere that we have right now. We'll probably have the entire thing written in Rust.
Oh, that's good.
So, but there will almost certainly still be XLT style sheets because XLT style sheets plug in with everything else. It makes sense with XMPP, which uses them, and we have a fairly complete stack on the back end that uses them. So, but it doesn't matter if you put HTML in, we can plug that into a style sheet.
All right. Is that it?
Yeah. The bad. I just heard I have exams in a few hours. It's after midnight here, so why don't you all get? Let's close the meeting. You guys can get some sleep.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Ark.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
so much
guys.
for all your
Great
hard work.
meeting,
Thank
guys.
you all for participating.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.